Hey guys, it's your boy, Ballface8020, back with another great commentary. Um, for this one, I wanted to talk. When I started this channel, did not intend for it to be, autobiographical. I still don't. I don't. My life really just it just isn't that interesting. It's not interesting enough that there would be enough for me to talk about, and anybody besides maybe me myself wanting to watch it. But as you saw from the title, this video is about me, about my own experiences and how I live my life. And the reason that I wanted to make it is because I've been doing a lot of black pill videos, and if I continue to do black pill videos, um, it's only a matter of time before I do something addressing MGTOW. For those of you who don't know, MGTOW is an acronym for Men Going Their Own Way. Um, my views towards the MGTOW movement are very negative, and the but if I'm going to address it, I feel like I want to have you explain where I'm coming from, where my perspective, because the thing is, like me, like I just said, I am against the MGTOW movement, but in practice, I am, technically speaking, a MGTOW. I'm not part of the movement at all. I don't consider myself a MGTOW. I don't go on MGTOW forums, but I'm single. I have been single essentially for my entire life. I had some relationships that I didn't take particularly seriously. I guess when I was younger, they didn't. The longest one lasted like 2 weeks. But I'm like not just MGTOW. I'm right now, so I'm like monk mode MGTOW, where I don't even have casual encounters with women, and I'm not seeking out a relationship. I would not be willing to and willing to be in any kind of relationship. So I guess I just want to explain what it's like and why that is. Maybe there's people out there who can relate, and even if you can't, if I end up talking about official MGTOW movement in the future, you'll have a point of reference. Um, you know, the interesting thing for me is I remember it pretty well because I've had minor crushes on girls before. Uh, but I'm not going to say her name, but my one and only like super crush that I've ever had, like I'm talking about the crush that like I'd feel like pain in my heart when I looked at her, was this girl who, it wasn't like I hadn't known her or anything. It was she had been in one of my classes. She had been in a lot of my classes in sixth grade, and I never really given her much thought one way or the other. I didn't have anything against her, but we weren't friendly or anything, and I didn't find her particularly attractive, at least at first. And then it was at the end of sixth grade. There was this there was this time that I was walking and she was coming in the other direction, and she stopped me because she had to ask me something. And it was like all of a sudden, I don't know if I just had never looked at her there before, or maybe it was the first time I saw her wearing makeup, or what. And it was just like this thunderbolt. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't in love. I didn't think I was in love, but I had like a very serious super crush on her that would last, and I would actually end up seeing her over the summer. Not she had, I think she had no idea that I was into her, but we had gone to the same summer camp, so I saw her a lot over the summer. And then she was actually in one of my courses at the beginning of seventh grade. And then sometime during that first semester, I got over it just because it was just a kid's crush. It wasn't anything that serious. It wasn't anything that wasn't a big deal. But other than that, I have had, yeah, sure. There's obviously been, even today, girls I'm attracted to, and maybe I had a little bit of crush on this one girl, like I don't know, 8 or 9 years back, who I used to talk to online. It was about 8 years ago, I guess, 8 or 9. Um, but yeah, but even and then I but again that was relatively minor. I never had that like I never got that pain in my heart feeling that I used to get from the girl in sixth grade. So I still had crushes that are minor. So I'm not sure you could call me completely aromantic as they say. Uh, but anyway, there was this. The thing is, so I don't have a lot of crushes, but the thing where this like my MGTOW life actually really started was sometime it happened sometime when I was 13. I know it was there, and I was having I was kind of it was actually no, it might have 13 or 14. I can't remember. It would have been, I think, when I was in eighth grade. When I was going through some health problems. I was struggling. I wasn't getting along, especially with my father, but just with my family in general. And like we used to like us for dinner, my family growing up, we ate dinner as a family. And I just, like I just hated it. I just didn't like I don't want to be I don't want to eat dinner with you guys. I just like I just want to be left alone. And especially maybe not so much my brother and sister, but I certainly didn't want to be around my parents every night. Definitely didn't want to be around my father. The But it just got me, thinking. And it was like, I was like, I wanted so badly to just get out of this family at the time, at the time. And I said, like, to myself, it was right then that I really knew, like right then. I'm talking about as a 13 or 14-year-old. I said, like, I want so badly to get out of this family. I will never voluntarily put myself back in. I will never, you know, have a family of my own, have a wife or family of my own. And and I knew it. I knew it like it was like this is really I was about to say this is really what I want. I mean, it was this is really what I don't want. I really, really wanted to not have a wife and family of my own. Um, and this was like so, like I said, I was 13 or 14 now. A lot of people that age, guys as well as girls, say, "Oh, I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to have kids." And and people don't take it seriously. And I didn't take it seriously when other 13 and 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, whatever, when I was in high school said it. I always knew, like, no, this is not for me. This is not what I want. I don't want it. I'm not going to do it. And I was, adamant about it, and I never wavered from it for a second. That's since I was 13 years old, okay? I have never wavered for a second. I have always been sure that I didn't want not just did I not want kids, not just that I didn't want to get married, but that I didn't want any kind of relationship. And this is also around the same age. I remember there was this time that I was watching Chasing Amy, actually. And you can replace Chasing Amy with any other romantic comedy. It doesn't matter. But there was this scene in it where, after like this, chaos and stuff, they were together now, after, and but they had finally slept together, and so he wakes up and they're in the same bed and he's leaving, and I found myself instinctively thinking like, well, great, how does he get out of this now? Like, how does he get out of this relationship? And that wasn't even the point. The point was it's supposed to be that they were happy to be together, which they were at least at this time in the movie. And I mean, I eventually kind of came back to reality and realized that. And but that's my instinctive reaction that a relationship is something bad that you should seek to avoid it. And it just seemed so unpleasant to me, something that I just didn't want it so badly. And I don't feel that way. I don't, not that I watch a ton of romantic comedies, but I don't feel that way today. I might have just been my eighth grade brain might have been a little bit screwed up. The So anyway, yeah, so so I mean, I'd be saying it all throughout my adolescence and teen years. It's like, well, when you get married or when you have kids, and I say, I will never get married. I will never have kids. And it would kind of annoy me to say it was actually the one person I knew who took it relatively seriously was my sister. And I remember once I was talking to my mom and my sister about it, and my mom was just kind of doing the whole like smug smile, like, oh, he's gonna fall hard. And my sister said, I don't think he will. And the but so anyway, though, for me, it is like I said, that if it started when I was 13 or 14, I think that what it tells you is this was before there. This would have been in the late 90s. So I mean, not only had I not heard of MGTOW, but I'm pretty sure it didn't exist, like even online. This would have been like, not that online was that big a thing back then. So and it had absolutely nothing to do with being against women, um, which is my criticism with MGTOW. Now, I'm not saying that women can't be criticized, either as a group, or you can't, complain about women. I'm saying my problem with MGTOW is just that I feel like it is purely an anti-female hate movement. Um, well, I have other problems with it too, but even that is like, um, whatever. I mean, because I don't want to sound like I'm on a pedestal and judging or looking down at them, because it's not about that at all. But anyway, the point is, though, that for me, as a technical MGTOW from a kid, it had nothing to do with being against women. If I had been gay, it would have been the same exact feelings. Okay, it had nothing to do with not wanting to be with a woman. It had wanting to do with not wanting to be with anybody. And it's like, because this is how I feel like as I've gotten older and I've systematized it more. A relationship, whether you're gay or straight, what a relationship is ultimately about is sharing your life with somebody. Well, why would I want to share it when I can have all of it? So, this is like, sometimes I'll talk to people and they'll say stuff like, oh, well, you could find a woman who would be willing to give you space or something like that. But it's not about that, because, I mean, yeah, maybe I could find somebody like that who would give me a lot of time to myself. But if I don't have any woman at all, I can have 100% of the time to myself. You know, I mean, so for me, like, it's just like there's no payoff, and I think but anyway, as a kid, saying that this was it was much easier to say it then, because it's like, as a kid, you don't have the perspective. So I mean, I don't get me wrong, I knew I didn't want a relationship and stuff. What I had not anticipated, that I've only really realized as I've gotten older, is how without a wife, or without kids, without family or something, how really just meaningless life is, or I mean, meaningless and empty life is. Now, I don't, when I say, first of all, I don't think it's totally meaningless. And as for empty, I don't know. And also, when I say empty, I don't mean it to be that it's not enjoyable, but I do mean that there's no like higher purpose. Now, you see, when you're a kid, you don't really think about a higher purpose. There's no higher purpose than the bullshit, social hierarchy in your high school, your own, vanity and stuff like that. But as you get older, and as I got older, I got much older, because I didn't really start to think about this until my late 20s. It's like, okay, well, you're in your you're pushing 30. I'm 36 now, as I've said in many videos. And okay, you don't want a wife, you don't want kids. Well, now what? I mean, there's kind of nothing else for me of any meaning. When you're a kid, you've got, like I said, you've got the bullshit social stuff. You've got getting a driver's license, going to college, getting your first job, living on your own. All these new fresh experiences. What happens when you've already done that stuff? When your physical prime has passed you by, and when your youth is gone. And I'm not saying that those things are necessarily bad. I'm not miserable. I'm happier than I was when I was young. But I'm saying that what else is there if you're not going to have a wife and kids? And the truth is that there isn't anything. I mean, there's nothing else out there. So so for me, like me, when I see young families, which I see a lot in my area, I don't ever see them and feel like envy, like oh, I wish that was me. I see like a dad playing with his kids or taking his kids, or I never feel that way. But I do feel like, I'm going to say a couple of things. One is I found kind of feel left behind, like society has just moved on without me, which it has. The other is also like I wish I could be as fulfilled and happy as they seem to be, as those young families seem to be. And because they've got something that really adds meaning to their life. And so in fact, what a lot of parents will say, because there's tons of bad reasons to have kids. They're all over the place. I mean, parents, tons of bad reasons that parents promote to have kids. But one of the reasons that I really like, or that I think is a good reason, is when they talk about the way that being a parent causes you to grow as a person and to build, like, levels of happiness and love that you didn't even know existed. Okay. Um, okay, first of all, I don't think that that applies to all parents by any stretch of the imagination, but it is. I do think it applies to a lot. Like, oh, by the way, also I'm confident it wouldn't be for me. Like, I mean, I think that I mean, I know myself pretty well, and if I found out that I had a kid somewhere out there, I would not care at all. And I mean, I would feel a sense of responsibility to take care of it. But I'm not. I mean, I would also probably ignore that sense of responsibility, but I would still feel it. Um, so yeah, I kind of forgot what I was saying. But the thing is with so I mean, yeah, no, I do feel, I guess, some envy when I just see how happy families are. Again, I forget, I lost my train of thought there, but I think I made most of the point I was trying to make on that thing. The other thing is that, even if I wanted a relationship and a family, I couldn't because I can't really even support myself. So, I'm, basically a NEET. Now I'm trying to get out of that, but I mean, who knows how long that's going to last? And so, I mean, like, how am I supposed to support a wife and kids? And you know, but I mean, it's just a role, like, as being as a father and a husband. It's just a role that I know that I'd be miserable in. Like, if you saw that thing on Seinfeld on that episode where Kramer's telling Jerry that there's not more to life, that it's just you're just in a man-made prison. Um, it actually reminds me of something that Seinfeld himself said later on as a comedian. He said, when I was single, I thought that married people's lives were just hellish drudgery, and married people think single people's lives are meaningless. And he said, and I've been single and I've been married, and they're both right. And it's, I mean, it's a joke, obviously, but it's also, I think that there's probably something to it. I mean, some people are really, really into being married, but I think a lot of people are just like, in it because they need that fulfillment. They're incomplete without the wife and kids, or they get lonely and stuff like that. And for me, I don't really get lonely. I mean, I'm not. I guess I could get lonely if I was like in solitary confinement or something. But as long as I've got like some human contact, and I'm assuming that I'll probably have some extended family around. I don't know, that I'll at least be in touch with. But I don't really need, I just don't need all that social interaction and stuff like that. So like when I hear about stuff, people like parents talking about like, oh, like I love it when my kids are like, Daddy, come like make us pancakes, like that. That sounds like hell. That sounds like hell. I don't want to listen. I don't want to make anybody pancakes. I don't want to buy gifts for them on Christmas. I don't want to go watch their soccer games. I don't want to do any of that stuff. That sounds like torture. Okay, it sounds horrible. Although now I'm getting away from the MGTOW and going on the kids stuff. So, but anyway, I guess the last thing that I would want to say is that I don't talk about it on this channel a lot, and I'm probably not going to because it's just pointless. But I'm pretty religious in that I believe in God, and it has like a lot to do with where my moral coding is. And I believe that as a man, you do have a responsibility to get married and have kids if you can. And so me, it's just another. I just view that as another thing that I'm supposed to be doing that I'm not doing. There's a lot of things I'm supposed to be doing that I'm not doing. So I do feel guilty about not getting married and not having kids. But on the other hand, I know I'd be miserable. It's not that I think I'd be a bad husband or father, because I mean, right now I couldn't do it just because I just don't have the money. But I know, I mean, I would hate my life, and I just don't think it's fair, to ask me to do something that I know. So it's not fair to ask me to live a life that I know that I'd hate. When there's a lot of people out there who who are married and have kids, and that's the life that they wanted, and so. But anyway, that's my life as an accidental MGTOW. Um, that's all for now, and I'll see you in the next.